Hi everyone. Hello, welcome back. We're gonna do a live tarot on it's gonna be a collective reading. What lessons are you learning right now, or what lessons you need to learn in your life right now, right? So welcome everyone. Thank you for all of your comments and all of your love. We're gonna get right into it. Okay. Once again, this is a collective reading. What lessons are you learning, or what lessons you need to learn in life? So we're going to get into that. Welcome everyone who is joining. Okay, let's see. All right, so right away what I'm seeing is that there's a lot of self-reflection that's happening within you in your life. And you've always been a pretty inner introspective person, so you were able to analyze things from a different angle, and you would think before you speak, and you would think how other people are. So you just always had this inner feeling about the world, or this inner understanding how the world works. And as some of you are getting more in tune with yourself, and you're able to just see things from a different perspective more and more, what I'm seeing for you is that you are realizing that there may have been some situations that you had to leave behind, some people that you had to leave behind, and like you're realizing that the life that you're creating for yourself is, even though it may seem scary, and even though it may seem lonely at times, because what happens is when you're stepping out of an old way of living, when you are leaving your old habits behind, and you're stepping into a new life, there will be moments when your confidence, you're not going to be as confident, or you're going to have to give yourself grace, because this is a learning period for you. This is the growth that you're going through. It's not going to happen overnight. It does not happen overnight. It's not meant to happen overnight. And there will be days when you're feeling like you're going to talk yourself out of moving forward. Your mind is so accustomed to making excuses for why you're not living the life that you want, or for why you're not going after that job, or for your mind is making excuses for why you're not given the opportunities in life. Okay, even though you may be stepping into this new life of yours, this new chapter in your life, your some of your habits, some of your old habits may still be there. Okay? Make sure you acknowledge that, and make sure you face it and be like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting." Just observe it. Because the old you would self-criticize, right? The old you, whenever you made a mistake, you would think that something is wrong with you because you made a simple mistake, God forbid. And that is because for a lot of us, we have grown up in households where, with parents or with someone that we will look up to, who would criticize us for smallest mistakes ever. And then life mistakes happen. You you live in your life for the first time just like everyone else. You don't know what's meant to happen, what's not meant to happen. You're allowed to make a mistake. And the fact that you are a human being with your own feelings, with your own emotions, You're not always going to be 100%. There will be days when you're feeling a little bit more down, and that's totally fine. That's the mentality that you need to be having, is that you are allowed to have a bad day. You are allowed to take the time and sleep a little bit, sleep in a little bit longer, to take that day off. Just because you're not performing at your best every day does not make you a bad person, does not make you less than, does not mean that you are behind. Okay? Okay? And then, and Mr. Louisiana, first of all, that is very rude of you to say that. Okay? You're coming into my life and you're talking to me that way is very rude. But I'm going to take a pause and I'm going to address you. I'm doing a collective reading, and once I'm done, I may take a question. Okay? So, but I'm not, I'm just going to remove you. How about that? Okay? Just remove. So, perfect. Okay, moving on. You are allowed to have days where you're not feeling your best, or you may question your worth. I'm not saying that you want to make this a habit when you questioning your worth, but because you grew up with people who would instill this type of negativity and doubt within you, it's still, that voice is inside of you. That inner child that was never protected, or that person that was never accounted for. No one had checked in with you. No one really got to know you. Because when you were younger, the way that we are able to relate to people and relate to ourselves is through how other people treat us and how other people think of us, right? So if you had people tell you all of these negative things to you only, of course you would think that there's something wrong with you, and you would instill it inside of you. Okay? And then it's important to acknowledge that this voice that's inside of your head, when it's a self-criticism, that it's not you talking. It's someone else who was jealous of you, who was envious, who saw something inside of you that they did not have inside of them. And they thought to themselves, how dare you have something that I don't have? Oh, you think you're all that? Okay, I'm going to show you that you're not. If this person had power over you, right? If this was an authority figure, and you're a young child, and you have someone who's obviously bigger than you, okay? So imagine like a small child and a bigger person. Of course, you're going to take whatever this bigger person is saying as if it means something, as if it's the truth, as if that's how you really are. Okay, so when you make a mistake, and I'm pretty sure when you made mistakes in the past, as you were younger, or even as an adult, just figuring life out. Okay, we are figuring life out. It's not going to be perfect. Whenever you made a mistake, instead of just, going about it, not giving it the time of the day, not making a big spectacle of it. You were probably punished for the mistake. You were criticized, scrutinized. What's wrong with you? You can't do things right, right? All of us can relate to this, right? And as an adult, it's important to recognize that and to stop yourself and say, wait a minute, no, I am not going to talk to myself like this again. And it's one thing to actually say this to yourself, and it's another thing to perform and do it in your life, to make it a part of you. Okay, so for example, um, through our healing journey, all right, your first thought that comes into your head from your subconscious mind is a negative thought. If the first thought that comes from your head, from your subconscious mind, is a negative thought, most likely you have work to do. And through our healing journey, as we doing the work and we have that negative thought and then we combat it with the second thought, with the afterthought, like we like, wait a second, we try to correct it. That means that, the work that you're doing it right now. That's the work. That's the work when you get curious with why you think the way you think about yourself. Who are you? What lessons are you learning that in life that can show you who you are and the strength that you have and the commitment that you have to making yourself better. And you've always been a person who would make yourself better no matter what, right? You've always been a person to face your fears. You've always been a person who would speak the truth and who would walk into the room and demand attention. You were not shy. That was never your problem. But people who your confidence made them feel uncomfortable because they did not have that strength inside of them. They wanted to quiet your voice. And depending on the situation, if you needed to survive around these people, if your life was dependent on it, your livelihood, if you're a younger child, of course, you're going to quiet your voice. I mean, think about it, because if you didn't, then you probably, you would they'll give you a worst day you ever had. So it became a survival instinct to you, right? You would tippy toe around them, you would quiet down. This is why a lot of you have this epiphany. Why sometimes I am this way with this person? I feel tension, or I feel like I'm not able to feel myself, or whenever I'm in public, I'm not able to show up as who I am, as loud as I want to be, you know, as myself. And versus when you are in private, or whenever you are around someone who makes you feel safe, you're a different person. I mean, that's a wake-up call. That means the light bulb should go above your head. That means that you're not really being yourself every time. And there's a reason why. Something is holding back inside of you to show up as yourself. You have been trained and you have been taught to quiet your voice down. You have been conditioned that when you are quiet, that means you are a good person. You have morals, you have standards. And of course, I get that. There's a time and place for everything. I'm not saying that you need to be wild and party all the time and always voice your opinions. There's a balance to it. But what I'm talking about is that subtle feeling that you get, and you could feel it whenever you are around, people, new people, public. You have a fear of being seen. You have a fear of being seen for who you are. Okay? And that's a very normal human experience. I don't want you to feel like there's something wrong with you. That's that's most of the people on this earth are walking around with the fear of being seen and being heard. Because as you were growing up, there's even a saying out there, and depending on your culture and your values and your upbringing, but it's a really universal experience. When you are younger, you're like, a child is not supposed to be seen, heard, nothing. You're just supposed to be there. Don't get in my way. Your parents would tell you, go away, don't get in my way, go do your thing. And that's why you became so independent. You didn't have anyone else to go to talk about your problems. All right, whenever you had a problem in your life, you had to figure it out on your own, right? And then you grew accustomed to just depending on yourself, and now you have a hard time making friendships because you don't know how to build relationships and connections, because you don't have trust in other people, because people who were closest to you have betrayed you. Okay? And the lessons here is that you can trust. There are good people in this world. But it really starts with getting to know yourself and remembering who you are and who you always have been. And like think the the as we know, the most thing that you fear to do in this life is really what you meant to do. So whatever you fear to do, you've got to do it. You I don't know how long it takes you. And some people it may take months, some people it may take years. Okay, there's a lot of things that I wanted to do in life that I never did, and it took me years to overcome that. But I never stopped. And also believe that any steps you take in this life will lead you to the path that you are meant to be walking on. All right? Also use your discernment whenever you're dealing with other people, or whenever you are in a new situation, whenever you are getting to know someone, or whenever you start doing things that are draining you, that are making you pull back your energy, making you pretend to be someone you're not. You got to walk away. You got to cut those people out and make sure that you are, um, always taking the right steps to get to who you want to be and what you meant to do in this life. And face your fears, whatever it may be. Okay? So that's really, really something important for you to focus on. Okay? So we're going to get into something else. Let's see. Let's see, what other lessons you need to focus on? Okay. I fear rejection. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Fear of rejection is because we have it ties into the fear of abandonment as well, because you were abandoned at some time. And what I mean by abandonment, it doesn't have to be like someone leaves you physically and goes somewhere else. Or, abandonment could be emotional abandonment, where you never had anyone cater to your needs, emotional needs. As what I was talking about earlier, you never had anyone check in with you and say, how are you feeling today? Let's talk about it. Let's recognize your feelings. Let's acknowledge them. I accept you as you are. I'm ready for whatever you are willing to be in a present moment. So there's emotional abandonment, and there's, it could be physical abandonment where your parent, they might have gotten divorced, and or your parent had to go to work a lot, and they were not physically there, or they might have passed away when you were younger. And then, so you internalize it, and you feel like it's a rejection, because in a way it is, it makes you feel like this person, this parent that's not checking in with you is rejecting you. But most of the time, the adults are living their own life in their own head, and a lot of people didn't have the tools to cope with their own emotional immaturity or with their own problems. So the last thing they could do was give it to a child, because they were never given that, and they unfortunately did not have it inside of them to go and get help. All right, so anyone who's getting the external help, who's going to the parenting skills classes, who's going, getting into therapy, or you could, getting like a spiritual coach, a life coach, whatever. You're learning, you're being curious, you're questioning the status quota, right? You're not just following the crowd. There was something inside of you that told you and that protected you that this person that was abandoning you is not safe, or you felt aggrieved that they were rejecting you, and you thought that there was something wrong with you. You internalize it. So what you need to do is externalize it. And that feeling, that grief that you have, that wasn't meant for you. That was for that person that rejected you, that abandoned you. That's their feelings. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not you, it's them. That's why I always say, whenever someone is doing something to you, whatever actions people are having towards you has nothing to do with you. It's how they feel. So let them have that. Let them have those feelings. You have your feelings that you are working on and that you are able to access to. And you are in control of your own feelings. So to face your fears, the fear of rejection, how can you overcome that? How can you come the fear of rejection? You can expose yourself to people or places that could be, making you feel a little bit uncomfortable, but like in a good place, like in a good sense. You got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So in a safe and healthy spaces only. And also you could put yourself in, you will have to start exposing yourself to the things that might abandon you, like a relationship. That's why people have fear of intimacy and fear of relationships, because they have a fear of abandonment and fear of rejection. Because relationships are supposed to be so close. And you're thinking to yourself, this person could abandon me, All right. So those are the things that it's important to acknowledge about yourself, and it's important to take in. And also just learning, like I've said before, that some days you will not have your best days, and that's totally fine. You are allowed. You are allowed to feel angry. You are allowed to feel sad. You are allowed to feel tired. Okay, life is tiring. You're allowed to not have to perform for other people to like you. You're allowed to not be funny. You're allowed to not be trendy, to not wear the most trending clothes, to not know the most funniest jokes. I'm saying be interesting, but you're allowed to show up as you are, and that's why you're not able to even know yourself or get to know yourself, and you're like watching other people and you're like, damn, I wish I could do that. I want to do that, but I'm not like that. But you are. You are. You are. We're very much the same. All of the things that we go through is, a lot of people go through at different stages in life or different intensity. That's why you're able to resonate with a lot of things that I'm saying, is because there's a lot of that are things that are universal, universal experiences. All right. And the voice that you have within yourself that is telling you to face your fears is the voice that I want you to listen. Because I am telling you, at the end of the day, once you start walking towards your fears, they will disappear. They will disappear. They're not going to be there anymore. If fear is trying to stop you from attaining that greatness that you have inside of you, once you face it, once you turn your face to it, I've always had this dream. I would feel this fear standing. And let me know if any of you ever had that, okay? And you had this fear like standing next to you. And then you turn your face to it. Like literally, I would turn my face to face it. It would disappear. Like poof, it's not even there anymore. That's it. And you don't need to do anything else. You don't need to do anything extra. Just gotta face it, okay? All right. So that is all, guys. I'm gonna, wrap up the reading because my phone is kind of low, so I don't want to lose this. And thank you all for joining. Thank you all. I appreciate all of your comments. I appreciate all of your likes. Make sure you watch my other videos. I will be back tomorrow to do a live. Not sure what time. I will post it what time to give you a more precise update. But I appreciate all of your comments, okay? And I will see you next time. All right, bye.